Imagine traveling to watch the world's biggest football tournament when there is no television, no charter flights, and not even an officially agreed match ball between the two teams. The main stadium isn't ready on opening day, and Europe's football powers refuse to spend weeks crossing the ocean by ship. Yet this risky tournament, held in a small country, would eventually captivate billions of people around the world. How was the FIFA World Cup born out of a conflict with the Olympic Games? Why was Uruguay chosen as the host? And which team became the first world champion? The answer begins long before 1930. Today, the FIFA World Cup is more than just a football tournament. It is a stage where nations create shared memories and unknown players become legends. But it did not begin with that level of prestige. In the early 20th century, football had spread across multiple continents, yet there was no independent competition that brought together the world's best national teams. Before the first World Cup could become a reality, football had to break free from the limitations of the Olympic Games and transform an uncertain dream into a historic event. The roots of modern football trace back to 19th century Britain. In 1863, the Football Association was established in England, creating a unified set of rules that helped the sport spread rapidly. British merchants, sailors, and immigrants introduced football to distant cities across the globe. Before long, clubs emerged throughout Europe and South America, and the game was no longer Britain's alone. The first official international football match took place in 1872 between Scotland and England. As international matches became more common, one major problem became obvious. Football lacked a global governing body. On May 21, 1904, representatives from 7 European countries met in Paris to establish the Fédération Internationale de Football Association, better known as FIFA. Its mission was to organize international football, but creating a true world championship still seemed like a distant dream.
At the time, the Olympic Games represented the highest stage of international football. The sport officially became part of the Olympics during the 1908 London Games. In 1914, FIFA recognized the Olympic football tournament as the World Championship for amateur players. The tournaments held in Paris in 1924 and Amsterdam in 1928 demonstrated that football had become a truly global spectacle. Uruguay won the gold medal in both editions, and the team's technical brilliance and collective style completely changed Europe's perception of South American football. However, the Olympics had one fundamental limitation: amateurism. During those years, football was becoming increasingly professional in many countries. The world's best players were earning money to play, yet Olympic regulations required athletes to remain amateurs. Disagreements over the definition of amateur status and compensation for lost wages created growing tensions between FIFA and the International Olympic Committee. As a result, football could never guarantee that the world's greatest players would always compete in the Olympics. FIFA also wanted to control the sport's biggest championship itself, a tournament dedicated exclusively to football and open to professional players. At the center of this transformation stood Jules Rimet, the French sports administrator who became FIFA president in 1921. Rimet believed football could unite nations and cultures on a common field. It was an idealistic vision, but he was far more than a dreamer. For years, he negotiated with national associations and, together with influential figures such as Henri Delaunay, worked tirelessly to create an independent global championship. The decisive moment arrived on May 28, 1928. During the FIFA Congress in Amsterdam, members voted in favor of organizing an independent world championship. The first tournament was scheduled for 1930. For the first time, football would crown its world champion not as part of a multi-sport event, but in a competition entirely devoted to the game itself. With that decision, Jules Rimet's ambitious vision became a genuine project. Yet one crucial question remained unanswered. Which country would accept the enormous cost and risk of hosting the first tournament? Several European nations, including Italy, Spain, the Netherlands, Sweden, and Hungary, expressed interest. But Uruguay had one major advantage. The country was the reigning Olympic football champion, having won back-to-back gold medals, and 1930 marked the centenary of its constitution, an occasion often associated with the nation's centennial celebrations. The Uruguayan government and Football Federation promised to build a magnificent stadium and pay the travel and accommodation expenses of every participating team. At the FIFA Congress in Barcelona in 1929, after the remaining candidates withdrew, Uruguay was officially awarded the hosting rights. On paper, the decision had been made. In reality, an entirely new challenge had begun. Traveling from Europe to Montevideo required an expensive journey of several weeks by sea. Clubs had to release their players for an extended period, and many footballers worried about leaving their regular jobs behind. The economic uncertainty following the Wall Street crash of 1929 only increased those concerns. Unlike today's World Cups, there were no qualification rounds. Countries simply received invitations, but accepting them was another matter. For a time, not a single European nation was willing to participate. Jules Rimet personally stepped in to save the tournament's international credibility. Eventually, France, Belgium, Romania, and Yugoslavia agreed to travel to South America. France, Belgium, and Romania sailed aboard the Italian ocean liner Conte Verde, accompanied by Rimet himself. Along the journey, the ship also picked up Brazil's national team. Rimet carried the championship trophy with him, a golden statue designed by French sculptor Abel Lafleur, depicting the Greek goddess of victory. Originally known simply as Victory, the trophy would later be renamed the Jules Rimet Trophy in his honor. Yugoslavia traveled on a separate ship. During the long voyage, players trained on the deck, creating one of the most remarkable images in football history, the future stars of the world's greatest tournament practicing in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. In the end, 13 teams entered the competition. 7 represented South America: Uruguay, Argentina, Brazil, Chile, Bolivia, Peru, and Paraguay. Mexico and the United States came from North America, while France, Belgium, Romania, and Yugoslavia represented Europe. No teams from Asia or Africa participated. All 18 matches were played in Montevideo. The teams were divided into 4 groups, 1 group of 4 teams and 3 groups of 3. Only the winner of each group advanced directly to the semifinals. There was no round of 16 and no third-place playoff. For the occasion, Uruguay built the Estadio Centenario, a massive stadium named to commemorate the nation's centennial celebrations. Around 1,100 workers labored in 3 shifts, but heavy rain delayed construction. As a result, the stadium was not ready when the tournament began on July 13th. The first 6 matches were therefore played at Pasito Stadium and Grand Park Central. Estadio Centenario finally opened on July 18th, the anniversary of Uruguay's constitution. That same day, the host nation defeated Peru 1-0 thanks to a goal by Hector Castro, a striker who had lost part of his right arm in a childhood accident. Opening day featured a unique moment in football history. 2 matches, France versus Mexico and the United States versus Belgium, kicked off simultaneously, making both officially the first games in FIFA World Cup history. France defeated Mexico 4-1, while the United States beat Belgium 3-0. In the 19th minute of France's victory, Lucien Laurent scored with a volley to become the first goal scorer in World Cup history. He could never have imagined that his strike would begin a tally that would eventually grow into thousands of World Cup goals. The tournament quickly revealed its strongest contenders. Argentina won all 3 of its group matches. Their striker, Guillermo Stabile, scored a hat-trick in his international debut and finished as the tournament's top scorer with 8 goals. The United States also reached the semifinals after 2 convincing 3-0 victories, still the nation's best ever World Cup finish. American forward Bert Patenaude recorded the first officially recognized hat-trick in World Cup history against Paraguay. Yugoslavia topped its group after defeating Brazil, while Uruguay advanced with 2 victories without conceding a single goal. Both semifinals ended with identical scorelines. Argentina defeated the United States 6-1, while Uruguay crushed Yugoslavia 6-1. The final would become a rematch of the 1928 Olympic Championship, Uruguay against Argentina, two neighboring nations, two football giants, two fierce rivals separated only by the Rio de la Plata. Thousands of Argentine supporters crossed the river by ship and boat to reach Montevideo. The city was consumed by anticipation. This was no longer just football. It was a matter of national pride. On July 30th, 1930, Estadio Centenario hosted the first FIFA World Cup final. Even before kickoff, the two teams argued over which ball should be used. FIFA reached a simple but historic compromise. Argentina's ball would be used during the first half and Uruguay's during the second. The match was officiated by Belgian referee John Langenus. Pablo Dorado gave Uruguay the lead in the 12th minute, but Carlos Posele equalized before Guillermo Stabile scored Argentina's second goal. At halftime, silence filled much of the stadium. Argentina led 2-1. The second half, however, changed football history forever. Pedro Sea equalized for Uruguay. Then Santos Iriarte unleashed a powerful shot to put the hosts ahead 3-2. Argentina pushed desperately for another equalizer, but the decisive blow came from Hector Castro, the one-armed forward who had already inspired the nation. His header sealed a 4-2 victory. Moments later, the final whistle echoed across Montevideo. Uruguay, the small South American host nation, had become the first official FIFA World Cup champion. This triumph was no accident. After winning Olympic gold in 1924 and 1928, Uruguay claimed its third consecutive major international title, proving that football's center of power did not belong exclusively to Europe. Captain Jose Nasazi lifted the trophy as celebrations spread throughout the country. That victory permanently shaped Uruguay's football identity, showing the world that a nation's size has nothing to do with the size of its dreams. The first FIFA World Cup featured only 13 teams and 18 matches, but it achieved something far greater than anyone had imagined. It proved that an independent global football championship was not only possible, but destined to become the sport's greatest event. National team football could exist beyond the Olympic Games, with its own rules, identity, and traditions. Distance, financial hardship, and global uncertainty had failed to stop the idea. The next tournament was held in 1934, and despite the interruption caused by the Second World War, the FIFA World Cup gradually evolved into the most prestigious prize in football.